Madam Speaker, on August 4th, a mass murderer opened fire on innocent civilians in Dayton, Ohio, in our historic Oregon district. Hundreds of people were present in the streets, in restaurants, and bars in this 2-block area that is less than 5 minutes from my home. The killer wore body armor, a mask, and carried over 200 bullets. Armed with a reconfigured weapon, he fired almost 50 bullets in 32 seconds. In that time, he killed 9 people and wounded 27. Later, we heard a familiar story. People who knew him had feared that this man was a danger. He had told people that he wanted to be a mass shooter. However,
the gentleman yield. The House is not in order. Thank you. Proceed.
However, he passed a background check in the purchase of his weapon. My daughter told me of the courage of the police officers at the scene. She heard the first shots, turned and looked and watched the officers, unflinching, run immediately toward the gunshots. Within 32 seconds of the shooter opening fire, Dayton Police took down the shooter. Let me be clear. The officers didn't receive the call in 32 seconds. The officers didn't show up in 32 seconds. They killed him in 32 seconds. But even with the Dayton police officers' incredible heroism, 9 innocent civilians were killed and 27 were wounded by the shooter's gunfire. He was armed with a magazine of 100 bullets and had another magazine with him. If he had not been stopped, the death toll could have been unimaginable. When the president came to Dayton, he congratulated the police officers on their training. Sergeant Knight responded, "Sir, you can't train courage." Today, Sergeant Knight and these courageous Dayton officers received the Medal of Valor. Officer Jerry Campbell, Officer Vincent Carter, Officer David Denlinger, Officer Ryan Nabel, Officer Brian Rolfs. Their bravery and quick action saved hundreds of people's lives, including my own daughter. They are here with us today, joined by Dayton Mayor Nan Whaley. Please join me in thanking them. And now, my fellow colleagues, we need to show the courage of these police officers. Let's work together to pass bipartisan bills that actually have a likelihood of becoming law and making our country safer. The forthcoming debate will be about our values, American values, human values. How could we get to a place where people are routinely killing innocent people that they do not know? The debate must also be about mental health, how to identify those that are a threat, remove their ability to do harm, and get help for those who need it. This debate will be about violence in our culture, the virtual world that so many of these killers have spent countless hours training in. And the American public rightfully demand that this debate will include a conversation about guns. As we pause for a moment of silence to think of those who were lost in Dayton, Ohio, let's think of all of those that have been lost in mass shootings, their families, and our obligations to them. I'm going to ask that our moment of silence lasts for 32 seconds, so that as this body thinks of those that we lost, the horrific understanding of how quickly the passing of 32 seconds occurs, and that within that time period, 9 people were murdered and 27 people injured. My fellow colleague from Ohio, Joyce Beatty, knows the family of one of the victims. I've asked her to read the names of each of those killed before I ask you to join me in 32 seconds of silence in honor of them.
Thank you, Congressman Turner, to our colleagues, to the officers and Mayor Whaley. Megan Betts, Monica Brickhouse, Nicholas Coomer, Derek Fudge, Thomas McNicholas, Lois Oglesby, Saheed Saleh, Logan Turner, Beatrice Warren Curtis. Thank you. I yield back.
I now ask that all members and guests in the House rise for 32 seconds of silence.